On today's show, on your marks, get set, sprint. That's the mentality in the Atlantic Division leading up to the holiday break.
And could Thomas Chabot be back for tomorrow's game? Plus, the Belleville Senators have made a change at the head coach position.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com, get in on the action this season, and place your live bets all season long at FanDuel.com. Today is Wednesday, December 17th, and Pilsy, the Atlantic Division is a complete gauntlet. And going into the Christmas break, we're looking at all these teams, so many home games to come, and a lot of interdivision matchups to come.
Yeah, I mean, the Atlantic Division is going to be tough all year long, but you want to head into that Christmas break, 24th, 25th, 26th off as a player and as a team, feeling like you put yourself in a good position here. And some of these teams, Ross, they've got the advantage of having all home games leading up to Christmas. That's got to be nice. And other teams, not so much, but all the points matter just the same. And that's why it's a good thing I decided to come to Winnipeg and we got those 2 points before this.
Needed to get those 2 points. And then you look at it as a 2-1-0 road trip that had a chance at being perfect. They played well enough to win that game in mini, but now is where they have to do some home cooking. They disappointed themselves and the fans during that last 3-game homestand where they came out with 0 points. It was not good enough. The team knows that. They've got to be better in front of the CTC crowd, and I have a feeling that it's going to start tomorrow. The Senators will take on the Pittsburgh Penguins at home. Then on Saturday, it will be the Chicago Blackhawks without Connor Bedard, and that is a winnable game too. Then they'll go play in Boston before coming back home to play a team they've lost 5 straight matchups against. Yeah, the one team below them in the division right now, the Buffalo Sabres. So there is no room to sit back and relax and watch that game-winning goal, Brady Tkachuk on Connor Hellebuyck, as much as the fans did. They're back to work today. We'll get to some practice notes a little bit later, but these 4 games could position themselves in a real nice spot going into the break, or they could find themselves dead last. That's how close things are in this division right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially you got 2 teams in the division that you're going up against in Boston and Buffalo. So you got to find a way to win those games. And a good way to win those games is getting players back. Thomas Chabot was at practice. We'll get into more of that later on. But, oh, man, I want to see this team healthy going into the break. That will be a big boost as well.
Still no update on Shane Pinto. They said at least 2 weeks, and he wasn't out there today. But let's focus now on the Atlantic Division, where the Detroit Red Wings lead it with 41 points. They're followed closely behind. Listen to this, just by points right now. 41, 40, 39, 38, 36, 35, 34, 32. That's 2 or less points separating each spot in the division. And you look at the 2 top teams, no surprise, they've played the most games out of anybody. It almost feels like whoever's played the most games is going to have the most points at this point. There is just no breathing room at all. The Florida Panthers, they're finding some pesky road points right now, and they're still without Tkachuk and still without Barkov. Obviously, he's out most likely the entire season. The Leafs, they had, sucks to say, huge win last night. Yep. They're losing 2-0 in the third period to Chicago. They get it to within 1. Then they get a power play, they score, and then 8 seconds later, they score the game winner there. So they get 2 big points. They jump Ottawa in the standings. The 4 bottom teams in the division have all played 32 games. The 2 teams in 3rd and 4th have played 33, and then 1 and 2 has played 34. So this, to me, is going to really, I think, set the table for pre-Olympic. After Olympics, whole other ball game. But you're looking at January and that first couple days in February. I believe there's still a game or 2 in February. Yep. You're going to have to really position yourself, because after that break at the Olympics, you're only a week away from the trade deadline. So you're going to have to know what your plan is of how you're going to attack that trade deadline, likely by the time you get into the Olympics. But the first deep breath is going to be not having any games the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th over the Christmas holidays, and Ottawa with 3 home games over this stretch. They just frankly have to pick up points at home. There's no way to dance around it, Pillsy, and it starts tomorrow night. A Pittsburgh team that just got embarrassed by the Edmonton Oilers. The whole bench comes out to celebrate Leon Draisaitl's 1,000th point in their barn. 6-4 was the final score, but didn't feel that close as I was tuning into that game. And this, man, this is an important game. Pittsburgh's overperformed to start the season. It's the first head-to-head matchup between these two teams. You have to win in regulation. I really, truly believe that because, oh, man, I'm looking at Montreal ahead of you. I'm looking at Detroit way ahead of you right now. 7 points up. Now, 2 games in hand for Ottawa. Like, you got to make up for that last homestand where they had 0 points in 3 games.
Yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing about Detroit is they're leading this division with a negative goal differential. Like, how often do you see that? And then you look at Tampa at a +18 sitting in third. Now, again, games in hand there, but that's an interesting little fact for me there looking at that. And the Pittsburgh game, Ross, how about Stuart Skinner having to sit right there while Draisaitl gets his 1,000th point and the entire bench comes out to celebrate, all his old buddies, old teammates, and he's the guy that lets that goal in. That's
Dude, he's wearing an Oilers helmet. Well, it happened.
Yeah. Oh man, you feel for him there.
Goalie friendly show though. That's hilarious. The fact that it was Tristan Jarry wearing a Penguins helmet playing for Edmonton. And Stuart Skinner wearing an Oilers helmet playing for Pittsburgh head-to-head. Wild. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the entire schedule for each Atlantic Division team. Tampa's only got 3 games. Everyone else has 4 games remaining before the break. And the home road splits, I mean, the entire division, 8 teams have a total of 9 road games out of all of them. There's so much home cooking going on. Boston has 4 games at home. All of Tampa's 3 games are at home, and Florida plays 4 consecutive home games going into the break. For Ottawa, it's 2 at home, 1 on the road, then back home for that Buffalo game, the final 2 games for the Senators in the division. So this is setting the table right now for Ottawa to really make a push here, and I'm looking specifically at the top teams like Detroit. That's tough, man. Home to Utah, then you've got a home and home against the Washington Capitals, and then you've got the Dallas Stars coming into town. So I mean, if they win 2 of those, I'd be impressed with that. Then Vancouver's playing well. Boston's got to take them on, at least at home. Vancouver continuing a very long road trip, but they've won back-to-back games now without Quinn Hughes. You've got Edmonton coming to town. They're feeling good about themselves right now. And then Ottawa and Montreal will be the other team. So I'm looking at Boston here as 2 wins being a successful road to the holiday break. Tampa, I pay a little bit less attention to Tampa because for me, they're guaranteed a top 3 spot in the division when it's all said and done. But they've got the Kings, the Hurricanes, and St. Louis coming to town. Montreal, they're sliding a little bit. They're still finding some points here and there. Chicago, home and home against Pittsburgh. We're seeing a couple of those here. And then they've got the Boston Bruins on the road. So the teams ahead of them, I would say, have tougher schedules than the Ottawa Senators here going into the break. So let's make a move here if you're the Ottawa Senators and get this ship back on the road. The way they're playing, Pillsy, it does feel like there is a run in them. They need to find a way to string 3, 4, 5 wins together to make up for the lack of overtime points and wins that they had before this road trip.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying all along. I know Sens fans are maybe sick of my optimism and they just want to get mad, and that's fine, but I've been saying they're right there. They're going to find a way to turn these 1-goal games into wins, just like they did in Winnipeg. And I believe that they're going to be able to have a nice stretch here because you look at, and obviously we'll have a full game day preview on tomorrow's episode of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. But the Penguins, without Evgeny Malkin, that's a huge part of their team and a Sens killer. We know that. Chicago, without Connor Bedard, huge part of their team and a Sens killer. We know that as well. So you got to find ways to take advantage of key players being out of their lineup. And I anticipate Thomas Chabot will play in 1, if not 2 of those games as well.
Okay, and we do have full practice updates as Travis Green is addressing the media as we speak. So let's get to that in the next segment. More than just what's to come with Thomas Chabot. That's next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch. The holidays are amazing, but they can get overwhelming fast. You got all that travel, the gifts, the parties, the year-end expenses. It's really easy to lose track of your money this time of year. That's exactly why Monarch is such a game changer. If you want to keep your finances under control this holiday season, you need to be using Monarch. Rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, simple dashboard. The holiday spending category, it can be a lifesaver. You can see exactly what's left in your gift and travel budget in real time. In minutes, you can check your net worth, link all of your accounts, and keep track of contributions before deadlines. And it's great for couples. You can share dashboards together, share your goals, and fewer of the wait, how much did we spend? Conversations. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.
Already live Locked On, your team every day. So make it official and get into the Everydayer Club. You can check out the link below and get no interruptions, ad-free Locked On Senators, as well as access to our members-only Discord app and more. So get to Supercast and get into the action. Your team every day. All right, Pilsy. Travis Green speaking to the media right now. Thomas Chabot will not play tomorrow, but it was encouraging to see him out there on the ice. He was snapping it around on the first power play unit. Jake Sanderson, take a breath, buddy. You did your job against the Winnipeg Jets in that third period, getting the game-tying goal and then setting up the game winner with a beautiful geometry pass up to Tim Stützle after he made an incredible play himself. Shane Pinto has resumed skating, not with the team yet, but he is skating on his own. And there was also the update on Lars Eller that he broke his foot. That's what he's out with, a broken foot. He will be out at least 3 more weeks. So those are your Senators updates. Although there was no update. The update is there's no concerns about Linus Ullmark and Jake Sanderson. They both left practice early today. If you're Jake Sanderson, I'm hoping it's just, hey, buddy, like you're playing so much hockey right now. Get a little skate in, but you don't need to get that gear wet. Like save it for tomorrow. You're all good. So let's start with Thomas Chabot, the guy who we're missing the most, I think would be fair to say, on the back end. Saturday against Chicago seems like a likely date for him to be back.
Yeah, I mean, if he's that close that he's practicing with the top power play unit, but just quite not ready to come back tomorrow, I think Saturday makes a lot of sense, especially with the back-to-back. They're going to want as fresh legs as they can get here. But, man, that's disappointing. I was really hoping he was going to be back against Pittsburgh because that's a big game up against the Eastern Conference team that's outperforming their expectations. I think that's fair to say. Still a good team that cannot be overlooked. I'm not trying to say that. But at the start of the year, everyone was saying, I mean, Elliot Friedman was saying they're the only team that's trying to get worse this year. They're going to be rebuilding. They're trying to get draft picks and get big prospects coming into the system. And they're fighting for a playoff spot here. So definitely, I would have liked to have Thomas Chabot back for that. And obviously for the reason that Thomas Chabot is an important part of this team, it puts Tyler Kleven back onto the third pair where he can be better utilized, in my opinion. But also, it'd be nice to shave off 3 to 5 minutes of Jake Sanderson's ice time. We've been saying it every episode, but this is just not sustainable for Sandy to be playing this much in these 1-goal games, going to overtime. Like, it's a lot for him to deal with. So I'm glad that he left practice early, honestly.
Yeah, and my thought process too with Thomas Chabot is you already brought him back and he re-aggravated it. So just make sure. Like, you'd rather have him back full steam ahead rather than have him in and out of the lineup. So everybody is anxiously awaiting his return. I'm sure Thomas himself is ready to come back, but hey, get him 100% and let's cook when he's back in the lineup. Shane Pinto is on the ice for the Melnick Holiday Skate. It is an annual tradition where they take care of a young generation of future Senators fans, and it's just an awesome initiative. that's been continued on by Anna and Olivia Melnick after Eugene started it years and years ago. So a great community initiative by the Ottawa Senators, and that is going on right now. So hopefully that's not what Travis Green means when he says Shane Pinto is skating, that he's out there with no gear, just out for a holiday skate. But they'll be excited to get him back in the lineup when that time comes. I did think Ridley Gregg was having his best hockey this weekend. Obviously showed a little bit of piss and vinegar in Minnesota, standing up for Tim Stützle from the year before, having that fight with Ryan Hartman. I thought he was solid in the game in Winnipeg as well. So we still obviously would love to have Shane Pinto back in the lineup. What team wouldn't? But Ridley Gregg is doing a nice job filling in there on that third line with Amadio and Claude Giroux. And I mean, we talked about it. Amadio in-game adjustments, being able to kind of move all over the lineup, just gives Travis Green so many more options. And Stephen Halliday, I mean, I'm not saying get a house yet, bud, but if Lars Eller's out 3 weeks, we're going to see an extended look for Stephen Halliday, which is going to be a nice test for him to see how he can go through the rigors of an NHL season.
Yeah, I mean, nice little bonus for Halliday over the holiday season. Obviously, you're never cheering for an injury, but this at least gives you some look into the future, being like, hey, I'm probably going to be up here for a while. I can try to get comfortable with my line mates, the disher, Curtis McDermott, and an elite goal scorer in Nick Cousins. So that's great for Stephen Halliday. And hopefully he gets limited looks with other players as well. We saw in Winnipeg, Ross, he got at least one shift.
It was
with
one
Timmy.
shift. Good shift, though.
Yeah, Timmy and Brady. He's getting power play time on that second unit. So this is a nice spot to be in if you're Stephen Halliday.
Yeah, I would agree completely with that. I wonder, though, is there a chance that they send him down over the break just to get one extra game in? Probably not. Not if he's going to be a full-time guy. We have seen that in the past, though, where they send guys down. And it is worth noting that the Belleville Sens are playing at Scotiabank Arena against the Marlies on Boxing Day, and the Sens are there against the Leafs the next day. But
yeah, fair. I don't think they'll do that, though.
Belleville needs wins, though. And
yeah,
we're going to touch
maybe
on the
Lexell goes down for that, though, Ross.
Yeah, some would say we're bearing the lead, but we'll get into deep discussion about the Belleville Sens firing head coach Dave Bell. That was, I want to say surprising, but maybe not when you look into the numbers and the situation that Coach Bell found himself in with the Ottawa Senators. That's really your injury update today. No changes in the lines, and why would you after having a 2-1-0 road trip where you were the better team in 2 of the games and you found a way to win the third in Winnipeg. So shout out to the guys who came through, the lottery boys, combining on the game-winning goal. Okay, let's talk about Dave Bell on the other side. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when you can see the game starting to shift. That receiver's getting hot, a defense is tightening up, or the momentum flips after a key turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can even bet next touchdown scores, the next drive results, totals, and more. It's going to keep you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
All right, Pillsy, we have an update on Shane Pinto per our good friend Graham Nichols. Says that Pinto's rocking flip-flops at the Melnick skate. So he's not skating at this charity skate.
Okay, I mean, yeah, flip-flops, not the ideal footwear for a skate, so that's interesting to see. Did we ever get a confirmation of what exactly Pinto's injury is?
I think I heard somewhere, so unconfirmed, but that it was a groin.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the rumor going around. So
hot take.
Oh,
I think it's more dangerous to be on the ice in flip-flops when you have a bad groin than skates. Ice is slippery.
Wait, I thought you meant he's just like on his flip-flops on the bench. He's on the ice?
On
like
the
that?
ice.
Yeah, okay, that's silly.
Dangerous. That is silly.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of silly, I think Tim Stützle has to wear a helmet and warm up now.
Yeah, we noticed that in Winnipeg. He can't just pay the fine anymore. What's up with
I
that?
don't know. My thought process is that he was under the radar and that they didn't catch him. And then when the full team went no buckets,
Well,
they
no, what
went
do you
through
mean?
each guy.
No, what do you mean didn't catch him, Ross? Warm-ups are filmed and seen by thousands of people every game.
I'm just saying. Maybe it was under the radar. They didn't notice it. Yeah, or they didn't put it together because he was right on the cusp. It's pre-COVID versus post-COVID, and he made his debut the first game in the All-Canadian division. So that's tough because Timmy loves the flow. And we saw our guy, J-Top Blends, was giving him a cut after the road trip. So
Yeah,
can't rock the flow and warm up anymore.
I thought they could just eat the fine, though.
I don't know. Maybe Timmy's had enough.
I guess.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It hasn't been affecting his game. Oh my God, this guy's on fire. What are we at? 9 points in the last, is it 4 games or 5?
4 games. 4.
9 points in the last 4 games. He's hitting. He's shooting it. He just looks so good out there.
Yeah, he looks unbelievable, and he's really kind of found his stride at both ends of the rink, which is great to see. And I thought he was great on the penalty kill against the Jets, Pillsy. Him and Giroux, first pair out there.
Yep, that's fair. Now, we both got our wish, though, Ross, because Timmy was still penalty killing, and Michael Amadio saw some time on the penalty kill alongside Ridley Gregg. So, look, that's fine. I was more advocating for that swap, for the Timmy Amadio swap, but if we can get the best of both worlds there and have them both killing penalties, I'm okay with that too. But I've been on the Jake Sanderson, get his ice time as well. I'm still on the get Timmy's ice time down as well too, because it's too much. And this team's supposed to be deep in the center position. Sir, you're without Shane Pinto, but Ridley Gregg can slide into that third line center like he's kind of supposed to do. That's a big part of his role on this team. So there's no reason why Timmy should be playing this much, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I want him on the ice, but we got a long season and hopefully a long playoff run as well. You can't be burning him out in December.
Hey, you jogged my memory there about saying Michael Amadio killing penalties. Good moment there where he jumps over the boards to kill a penalty after the in-arena announcement for Curtis McDermott's penalty said Michael Amadio got the hooking penalty.
Yeah, that's -1 for the PA announcer in Winnipeg there. Yeah, but Curtis McDermott, that's nice for him. He's like, wasn't me?
Wasn't me? And I was so excited to watch McDermott hustle to the bench after that, but he stayed on the ice because he's great on the ice now. What an assist. I mean,
don't let facts get in the way of a good story, Ross, but he was skating to the bench and the Sens iced it literally as the penalty expired.
Nice.
So he stayed on the ice there.
Nice.
But I like your theory, because I was even like, is Curtis McDermott trying to stay on the ice here? Because I think Timmy and Brady were out there as well. And I was like, oh, this is a sneaky move by McDermott. But then I realized it's nice.
Sneaky move getting out there.
Has to stay out there.
Dude, his post was a rocket.
Electric. Yeah.
He ripped that thing. So I'm excited to see him in the lineup on
Me too. I know maybe people think we're joking around, Ross, but I've really come around on Curtis McDermott, and you hear the guys talk about him. They love him. So I think that's one thing fans underestimate, is having a guy like that in your lineup that boosts the boys up, makes them feel a little safer, like we talked about with Jody Shelley. Go check out that bonus interview. There is a role to be played by these types of players in the NHL still.
Yeah, McDermott played 34 seconds, so this must have been the shift. It was with Stützle and Giroux.
Okay, Stützle and Giroux then. Yeah, that makes
3
sense.
shot attempts against, none for when those 3 were on the ice. But like you said, it was an icing, so a D-zone face-off there. And McDermott, Stützle, and Nick Cousins were on the ice for 7 seconds before that puck went in the ice, because Nick Cousins jumped off the bench to get to the rush and make that play. So, yeah, that was electric, and we were so happy to be boots on the ground in Winnipeg. We are back in our own home studios and waking up to news this morning that the Belleville Senators made a head coaching change. David Bell, good friend of the show, multi-time recurring guest, live interview guest, just always had time for us. So we have nothing but respect for David Bell, and we wish him all the best in his next opportunity. But it was probably time to make a change. Belleville had lost 10 of their last 12 games, and they just could not get any momentum building. And it was his 3rd season behind the bench. They got to the playoffs that one year, but when you look zoomed out and you have a situation where there's new ownership and everything else had changed around him and at the NHL level, he was an old hire. It was only a matter of time, unfortunately.
I want to start this off saying this sucks. Like you mentioned, Ross, David Bell, good friend of the show, absolutely great person.
I just had like a 25-minute chat with him when they were in Winnipeg a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, every time we dealt with him, he loves shooting the breeze with us. He treats us with tremendous respect. He always gives good answers, good interviews, really insightful guy. And I think he was well respected by the guys in that locker room. But end of the day, it's a result-orientated business. And you mentioned it. This is not a guy that the new regime brought in. They were going to be looking to have a guy that they want to put there. And the team just simply isn't good enough, especially lately. Now they're still in a playoff spot. So maybe I think that's why, Ross, this was the time they chose to do it. And I know maybe some people being like, little insensitive of the team to fire him right before Christmas. But I actually had a spin zone that maybe that's not the worst thing. Then you can just be finally like, okay, it's done. I'm not here anymore. I'm going to spend time with my family, focus on getting back on the right track in the new year. And you just relax rather than being on the hot seat and the chopping block during the breaks.
It's a weight off your shoulders in a sense.
Yeah, it's a weight off your shoulder. You're stressed during the break. You come back, then it happens. I don't know. That's just a spin zone I was trying to have. Maybe it's completely off.
And I mean, he had kind of been reading the tea leaves. I mean, if you heard one of his recent interviews, he led by saying like, "Hey, you guys asked me to come on last week," and I was like, "All right, footy, if I still have a job by then." Like, look, I get it. It's easier to sit here and say that rather than be in it and feel each loss like that.
Yep.
But that kind of mentality, I mean, if I'm in charge and I hear a guy who needs to be building confidence for the team, if I hear him saying that, like, you would almost think that he's got one foot out the door. I don't think that's how he felt, but that's how it kind of comes off when you're saying like, oh, if I'm still here. So anyways, that to me is a small piece of it. It's all the bigger piece is when you see the guy come in last year at the start of the year, and by all accounts, Andrew Campbell's a phenomenal guy. He's actually in his 30s. I couldn't believe that.
37. Yeah.
He was an assistant coach for the Brantford or Hamilton Bulldogs. I don't know what they were called 3 years ago, but Ann Lauer's team in Hamilton. And they brought him in to be the assistant coach under Dave Bell. So he takes over as the interim head coach. Pilsy, he was playing in the American Hockey League when Dave Bell first got the job with the Belleville Senators as an assistant coach. That's either A, how long Bellsy's been with the organization, 7 seasons, but it also speaks to how much Andrew Campbell can relate to these guys. He was just in the mix, and he's actually a captain at 3 different spots in the American Hockey League with the Manchester Monarchs, with the Toronto Marlies, and with the Tucson Roadrunners. So he's clearly got a ton of leadership qualities. He had 3 years of experience in the Ontario Hockey League, and yeah, sure enough, 2 years with the Hamilton Bulldogs, 1 year with the Brantford Bulldogs, and then Ann Lauer buys the team, and immediately he's placed into an assistant coach role. So he'll be the interim head coach. We'll see how he does, but even though Belleville is in a playoff spot, they have 11 wins in 28 games. So it's not like they're fighting tooth and nail with these other teams. It's that there's a pretty big separation in the top and the bottom of the North Division.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I was going to get to, Ross, is I think this is why they chose to do that, because you're like, look, we are on a slide here. We got to find a way to stop the bleeding because the Cleveland Monsters are just 1 point behind them. So all you have to do is be able to be ahead of the Cleveland Monsters. I don't think they're expecting this Belleville team to win the division or anything like that, but you got to find a way to make the playoffs. It's so important in the American Hockey League, especially in smaller markets. You got to find a way to engage that Bay of Quinte community. And in the playoffs, when I went there, Ross, CAA Arena was rocking. And unfortunately, we don't see that in the regular season. So they have to find a way to make playoffs to keep that community engaged, to get tickets sold, get merch sold, those things. It's very important. So even if they finish in the last playoff spot, that's very important. So, and I think it's good that Campbell's going to be interim coach. Like you mentioned, the youth, he's already been there a while. I think he's going to be able to relate and get these guys fired up. But our good friend, Bruce Garriock, he had an article talking about this, and he made a good point that if we're following the tea leaves And we talked about Andrew Campbell being with the Brantford/Hamilton Bulldogs. Well, who's there right now as the head coach?
Jay McKee.
Jay McKee is there right now, and he did a really good job with the Kitchener Rangers. So he's already had head coaching experience in the OHL for
Long time,
2, 3, 4 years, and then he's been head coach of, let's just call it, the Bulldogs organization for 1, 2, 3, 4, now in his 5th year. So he's got like 9 years of head coaching experience here. A little older than Campbell, in his 40s, but I think he's still going to be able to relate to these guys, especially after coaching in the OHL so long. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if, I know we're really looking ahead here, but if he's the new head coach of this team next season.
Yeah, and he's also a guy who played a long time in the National Hockey League. He played 800 NHL games, only 24 in the AHL. He was like right to the NHL type guy. And this wouldn't be something where I turn my nose up to and I'm like, oh, they're just hiring their buddies. Jay McKee's put in the work. He's been a guy who's gone through the ups and downs of coaching, starting as an assistant coach. He was even a player coach in the ACH with the Dundas Real McCoys. I don't even know what league that is.
Allen Cup.
Oh, hockey. Was it? So it's senior hockey.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So he's like, maybe I want to get into coaching, and then was an assistant coach, an associate coach, and then a head coach. So we will keep our eye on if Jay McKee will ultimately be the replacement. And guess what? He's from Kingston, Ontario, just down the street from Belleville. So, or just down the 401, I should say. Yeah, you're not taking the side streets there. You might be taking a long detour if you're doing that. But look, last thing I want to say about Bellsy, and not to repeat ourselves, but just like he did good work with the Belleville Sens. And I do think he'll land on his feet, and I think it'll be well-deserved. But sometimes you just need a fresh voice, and this is only the Belleville Sens, fourth head coach? Because they had Kurt Kleindorf or whatever the first year, who was a throwback to the Binghamton Senators years before. And then they had Troy Mann for a while. And I mean, Dave Bell took over from Troy Mann. So it's been quite a while that he's had the helm at the Belleville Senators. But look, this is no indictment on the way he's helped develop players. He's gotten guys to the National Hockey League. Tyler Clevin would be a success story for him, and Donovan Sabrango finding way to full-time NHL minutes with the Florida Panthers. Stephen Halliday, the most recent example. So he's done good work. In developing these players, but you got to have a winner in Belleville too. Like, you need your AHL team to be consistently winning hockey games, and it just didn't happen this season. So super unfortunate, but in a sense, like when you turn the page off of that, and it's easier said than done. And the Belleville Sens haven't tweeted about it today. They just went right into their practice. And I mean, the guys look pretty depressed, just standing on the blue line, waiting for a drill. And that's a shockwave through the organization. And they're going into a stretch. We talk about the NHL going into the holiday break. Belleville's got all sorts of divisional matchups coming up. So this is a really important stretch for them. They need to win games. Now, in the press release, they didn't say anything about another coach joining the staff, but it is worth noting that in one of the photos they posted at practice today, Sam Gagner is on the ice. So you got to wonder if maybe he steps in as an assistant coach just in the meantime, as they need to have a certain amount of assistant coaches on the bench.
I think that would be the right play, especially because he's played with a lot of these guys. He's not that far removed from being with the Belleville Center. So I think
that would be in his 30s too?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, he's born in 89. So this would have to be the youngest bench in pro hockey.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. Ross, you mentioned they got games up against divisional rivals. Their first game is in Rochester against the Americans on Friday. So quick turnaround there. Then it's Marley season. They got the Marlies, then Utica, then Laval. So these are all division games. They're very important here. And I hope, Ross, we see the new coach bump, give these boys a boost up against Rochester.
You can't go 1-6-1 on an 8-game homestand.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you can't do it. You can't do it. That's 3 points in 8 games at home. So we'll see what the Belleville Sens have in store here. To finish off, put a bow on this story, Steve Staios' comment, quote, We are constantly evaluating ways to improve our organization and felt the timing was right for a fresh voice and approach in Belleville. We want to thank David for his time and commitment in Belleville and the Bay of Quinte, and we wish him well in his next opportunity. Also worth noting that assistant coach Stephen Legion and goaltending coach Paul Gibson will remain under the new coaching staff. As a head coach, Dave Bell compiled a record of 97 wins, 78 losses, 15 overtime losses, and 11 shootout losses after taking over as the club's coach on February 3rd, 2023. He was named the full-time head coach after that season. So well wishes to David Bell and good luck to Andrew Campbell, because that needs to improve in a hurry. Pills, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is let's kick this homestand off properly. Let's get that CTC rocking, guys. Go to the GLEBE Central Pub website, get your tickets for the shuttle. Then, once you got your tickets for the shuttle, go to Gametime, get your tickets for the game. Combine those two together, and you're in for a good night. Let's have a good homestand here. Last time, no fault to the fans, but last time 3 straight losses. Not going to cut it anymore.
Final thoughts from me. 14 years ago today, the Ottawa Senators pulled off a trade that a lot of fans questioned at the time, and it worked out well. David Rundblad and a second-round pick were traded to the Arizona, then Phoenix Coyotes for Kyle Turris. I'm going to go ahead and say that worked out pretty well.
Agreed. Yep.
Kyle Turris, where is he all-time Sens points? He's sitting 17th all-time with 274 points in 407 games. His 117 goals ranks just outside the top 10 now that Stützle and Batherson have jumped him there. But what everyone remembers about Kyle Turris, of course, is 3 overtime playoff game winners. That is unreal legacy to leave in a market. So just wanted to point that out. And you might be seeing a little bit of Kyle Turris in the next couple of weeks. He's a skills coach for Team Canada's World Junior roster this season.
Nice.
Yeah, so good to see him staying 1 foot into the game right now, as he's got a lot going on. We had Jackson Starr and Ian Mendez on yesterday's show, and I was watching their chat with Kyle Turris from a few weeks ago, and he's like the general manager of the Vancouver Winter Club, like a members skating rink. So he's trying to put his brain to good use after hockey, but great to see him use that hockey IQ as well, because he's got a lot to pass on to the younger generation. So yeah, this day in Sens history, Ottawa acquired Kyle Turris, and the rest is history. All right, the rest is history for today. We will be back tomorrow with a full game day preview. The Senators hosting Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. It is a 7:00 start, and it's going to be awesome to see those black jerseys on, because they need some wins in those black jerseys. We'll see what they got in store tomorrow night. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. A 5-star review goes a long way wherever you listen to podcasts. We are available on YouTube as well, where you can like and subscribe to never miss an episode. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.